What's up, pretty gang? It's your favorite nail tech Peaches, back with another video. And unfortunately today we are not discussing this design. I will not show you how to do this, but what I will show you how to do is how to make long nails last. That's right, we're taking it back to basics. I am going to be giving you guys some key advice about what is it that you need to do to make long nails last in Unbreakable. Okay, before we get into it, y'all already know where to follow me at. Subscribe, turn notifications on. I'm in Sacramento, California. For those who want to book me, coupon codes in the description below to save money. And don't forget, we got a not polished coupon code. Now they're giving me a month to see how I do, so if we don't use it, we're gonna lose it. All right, so all of that is linked down in the description for you guys. So here's the thing, right? This particular client, I think she was booked for long to XL, so I'm just explaining, like, XL is this full length of tip, long is pretty much we're cutting right up under the number. So she's looking to see what it is that she want to do. Now I'm looking closely, right, because I think she decided to go with long. Okay, that's just like standard long in my chair. So this still applies to lengths that are a tad bit shorter than this. I know I personally am pretty generous with length in my chair because I like long nail. So if it's a little bit shorter than this, all this stuff can apply. Okay, so rule number one on how to make long nails last: no matter what tips you use, first of all, we want to make sure all the nails are as even of a length as we can give them, because the thing about it is, I just said that all way too quick. The thing about it is, you don't want a bunch of uneven lengths, because that can hinder people as they go about their day, which can cause overcompensation on other things, and that can cause accidents, breaks, etc. Now the next thing you want to do is knowing what is the limit of like filing to prep the nail tips. Now this particular client wants square. You guys know I use just traditional regular nail tips. I'm actually thinking about making tip boxes of these, because it seems to me that a lot of people don't have nail supplies near them. I know I've been saying this for like hella long, but I'm like dead ass serious. Now if you file the nail tip too long, right, you are going to be at risk at filing too much of the tip away in the sidewall area where I'm filing now, which means there's going to be some gapping between the acrylic and the natural nail area, because there's not any tip to support that. Now if you make that mistake, right, I'm sorry, but you're going to have breaks and cracks right there at the stress area where the tip and the natural nail meet, and unfortunately that's going to cause your long nails not to last. Okay, honestly for most type of nails, but specifically for long, because the main thing you need to know is strength. Okay, so this is me pretty much getting it as square as possible for the time being. Now with application, we are going to be using the color Princess Slippers by Not Polished, because we already know if it's not polished, it's not nothing. Like I said, use my code Peaches so you can get 10% off, save you some money, and let's keep the code alive. Okay, so with application, right, I have a size 20 brush, so I understand if your beads are not as large as mine, but we're gonna zoom in real close. Right now, pay attention to where I lay the bead. I lay the bead right here where the tip and the natural nail meet. I basically bring the bead down and I blend the top so there's no lumps and bumps. Now some people do a 3-bead method. I personally do more of a 2-bead method. The reason why I lay the reason why I lay the bead right there is because that is like the natural stress area, and it ensures that I'm going to have enough acrylic there no matter what. So the reason why we don't want a bunch of little beads when we're doing long nails is because it can interrupt the natural flow of the nail, and it can also not be enough acrylic. So you can see how I drag this bead down in one nice smooth motion, right? We're taking our time, and then bringing it down to the tip. Any excess I will go ahead and cut off at the edge with my brush, just like that. And there wasn't too much, so I just brushed the acrylic back on. Now if there is not enough acrylic here, right, we can go in and add a little bit more. Now you can wait until after you did the apex bead, but I would highly suggest doing it now, because that can lead a false sense of security. If there's not enough acrylic here and you go ahead and do the apex bead to match what's already there, you're almost certainly not going to have enough acrylic. Now we're going into the apex area. You can see, although this is a small bead to me, for some I understand this is a larger side bead depending on your brush size. And so you can see all of this acrylic is being distributed into the cuticle area and to make the apex area, and the excess I do not need, I am wiping down straight down into the rest of the nail, right? And upon doing that is, oh, what the hell? I knew I wasn't crazy. And upon, sorry y'all, some background issues. Oh, ciao. It's people in the house talking. And so basically upon doing that, you're ensuring that all the leftovers are blended nice and smooth down, and you will be able to see what type of structure is within that nail. So you want to look from all angles, and you can see here, not too thin, not too thick, right? I understand I use different tips than most, but this applies to everybody. And if you see, like I saw, there's a little dip somewhere probably, we're gonna go ahead and take care of that now, because there are some things that filing cannot fix. So the main thing I want to stress to you guys during this application portion is really just the fact of you need to be careful with not having enough acrylic, right? Now on this finger, I want to talk to you guys about having too much acrylic. Although I'm not going to show what it looks like when there is an imbalance of like too thick of a nail, I am going to go into great detail about what happens. So again, we are still putting the bead in the same area. This is just how I do application. I know everyone does it differently, okay? Now, if there is too much acrylic, not only is the nail just going to look like out of control, okay, and we've all been there, my nails used to look, you know, very interesting, it causes an unbalanced nail. And basically what happens then is, let's say your client hits a nail or something, the nail in the apex area, right, if it's too thick, it's most likely also not going to be flush, to be honest with you, and it's going to cause the nails to lift, right? Because the nail is too heavy for your natural nail to support, and honestly, it's a goner. Now, additionally, if it's too thick in the tip area and there's not enough in the apex area, it is going to break. It's going to like snap off right at the stress point because now it's too bottom heavy. You see what I mean? So those are some really common things that it seems like happens for people when they are doing long nails. They have a lot of trouble with them staying on. Now granted, accidents happen, you know, sometimes we don't I'm not gonna say we don't do our job right on the tech side, because I don't want to sound like mean or rude, but I'm just trying to find a way to say this so we can all relate. But who the hell is that outside? But sometimes we do make mistakes, and sometimes we miss little areas or things like that. Now, if that happens, you know, that's okay. But what should not happen, I mean, as long as you fix it for the client, you know, it's not okay if you're gonna, you know, go bad on them. But now, what's not okay is if your client's nails are just snapping off completely left and right, like unprovoked, nothing going on, okay? Now, that should tell you that you should not get defensive, and you should investigate a little bit more at your own practices, because everything is not always the client's fault. Sometimes it's the nail tech's fault, and that's okay, because that's how we learn, okay? So if you're a person that is getting into, you know, trying to get better at doing long nails, just take into consideration, if you don't do this length very often, it's okay to tell your client that. If they want a long length, just tell them, yeah, I'm happy to do this length for you. I just want to let you know, I typically do lengths a little bit shorter than this, but I actually want to, you know, get better at doing this length. If anything unexpected or bad happens, you know, I will go ahead and make sure I can squeeze you in for a repair, etc., you know, or hey, I will discount the repair. Something like that. You know, everything ain't got to be free, y'all. You know, so don't get too worked up about that. So you can see, as I was mentioning earlier, we want to make sure the apex area is nice and smooth. We want to make sure the acrylic is nice and flush. You see me continuously making sure the acrylic is in that cuticle area nice and flush. The apex is basically not just a huge bump on the back of the nail. The apex should be like a slight, kind of like a speed ramp. So where the cuticle area is where I'm pushing the acrylic in, it should be, you know, just a slight bit of a you know, and not start right away. For those of you who are like super beginner, the apex belongs in the back third of the nail. And we want to make sure that it doesn't just go from the apex flat into, you know, a super flat nail. It needs to be consistent. As you can see pretty much with the structure of my nail, this is what I prefer, and I found is the style that I like. You can see the structure of the nail. It's a little bit flatter at the cuticle area, and it just kind of ever so slightly bumps up to the apex and continues along a pretty even thickness for the most part down to the tip area. You see what I'm saying? Now, this part, if you thought this part was crucial, finish filing is just as crucial. So really quickly, let's just look at my application. I know it kind of looks like the middle finger is crooked. I promise you it's not. Obviously, this is not the angle that I took the video at, but I did go ahead in shaping. That's something that's easy to fix. So here we go. This is what all 10 nails look like. We're getting ready to shape and file. This is finished filing. Now again, I am zoomed in a little closer than I normally would be. Now the reason why this part is important with long nails is, again, that apex area and that cuticle area, that's your strength and foundation. Once again, If it's not flush, it's gonna jump right off. Okay, any little hits, any little anything, this area needs to be nice and tight, or the back, it will just go ahead and pop up, you know. And I'm not even saying that to be funny or anything. I need to put on something on my face. Sorry y'all, I need to oil my face. So I'm not saying that because, you know, I'm just trying to stretch this video out as long as possible and make y'all watch for y'all own good. But this is so y'all can see in different, sorry y'all, I washed my face, I just took a shower, so I need to go ahead and finish my skincare. I'm doing this and saying this to like emphasize in each part of the process, what is it that is going to give you a nice long nail that's long lasting. And the reality of it, it's structure. If you have a poor structure, there's nothing you can do to make something last longer. You can do all the steps in the world, but you guys, a balanced structure is going to be what makes it last. So you can see I'm shaping the apex, I'm getting into that cuticle area. Now when we go underneath in the area right under the sidewalls, we need to be sure that this is not too thin. If you go too thin, you are going to decrease the integrity of the nail, and it's going to cause snapping in that area, because that is the area where is the weakest point, where the tip meets the natural nail. You need those sidewalls so that way you have some added strength. I know the style is to be as thin and as flat as possible, but you guys, it's not feasible. Okay, like there has to be some sort of structure. I've heard stories about people only putting enough acrylic that their nails are still flimsy the next day. That's inappropriate. You know, there's not enough acrylic and the nails just break or pop off. That's inappropriate, especially for long lengths, because I'm telling you, you will cause damage to the person's natural nail. If you are not willing to put the integrity of someone's nail over the trendiness and the look of, you know, super flat thin nail, then I'm gonna be honest. Hey, I don't want to say stop doing it or whatever. I'm sure you'll find your clientele, but I'm just letting you know that's a little bit whack. Okay, so as you can see how much time I'm taking on each nail to make sure that my apex is nicely rounded, because we don't want it to look completely flat. We want a nice build up, and for my my cuticle area to be flush. Now the thing is, when you go ahead and shape with your hand file, right, you are gonna add some like thickness back into the sidewalls. I don't know how to explain it. It's like, because it's up against the acrylic, it pretty much, the sidewalls kind of thicken up. You know what I'm saying? Those of you guys who know what I mean. And so it's a balance right here of not doing don't take away too much. We're just cleaning it up. Just cleaning it up is all we're doing, right? So that way when we go in and hand file, everything already looks nice and neat. You see what I'm saying? So okay, that's pretty much, we're done with the finished filing. Now do you see how much crisper and nicer everything looks after the finished filing? I personally use the e-file first before this, so we can debulk and it's less on our hands to file through. So with the filing, why am I even showing you this? What does this got to do with long nails besides shape? Again, the sidewalls. This is a very important part of the structure. If we file too much, and we, once again, just like the nail tips, we start to get into that, see right there where my file is? If we start to dig into that too much, we're going to have a very, very weak point, okay? And that's going to further cause the nail to be at risk of snapping. Now, if you're not a person that really does a long length, then also I want to talk to you guys about filing too much. So let's say if you have a nice thickness, you know, the structure is nice, but you're still nervous if the client is going to think it's too thick, it's too this, it's too that. You got to be careful, because you don't want to end up over filing, because you will take all that nice integrity and structure away from the nail because you're too nervous. 9 out of 10 times, if somebody sees your page and they book with you, it's because they like what they see on your page. Okay, so if someone is in your chair and they say, oh, you know, I do want them thinner, you know what I say? Hey boo, unfortunately, due to the length of the nail as well as X, Y, and Z, I'm unable to make them thinner, or they will just snap right off. So right now is going to be the point where you let me know, hey, should we continue or should we just stop, and you want to find someone else who can do them as thin as you want. You know what people typically say? Oh no, it's okay. Because they don't expect you to come correct with an actual answer that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Most people don't say that to me, because a lot of people are tired of having nails that are like very super thin. I don't think this is a bad thickness at all. I feel like this is perfectly fine, but just be careful of over filing, okay? And also be careful of under filing, because again, if it's too thick or too thin, we got the same problem, just different parts of the nail, but same problem. So, you know, all in all, what this video is here for is to kind of just guide you guys through and give you like the best piece of advice that I can for making a long-lasting long set, besides what's with prep, you know, because I feel like this is stuff that maybe people haven't said before. It's such easy advice, and it might click on the light bulb for some of you guys to be like, oh, maybe that's the problem. Listen, it happens to all of us. I started out even doing long nails and stuff, and it did take a minute before I realized what is too thin, what is too thick, what should the apex look like, the sidewalls, all of that matters, okay? So right here, this is the structure of my nail. You can see it's not too thin. Granted, again, this is not the actual angle of the video that I took. I had to flip it to fit it here. And just this is what it looks overall. Now, you can't tell me these don't look like nice, sturdy nails. They don't look like long-lasting nails, okay? So this client was very happy. She told me to kind of just do whatever I wanted with the design, because she realized she didn't really care for French tips. Not my French tips, but just the design overall. This is the final look, and I will see you guys in the next video.